It's here.
It's October 4th, 2020. It's day 4 of the 31 Days of Fright horror movie project, year 9. I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and welcome to my YouTube channel. But before I go any further, please click subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified, and hit that like button as well to show me that you like this video. And speaking of doing those three things, go over to the 13th Wolfman and the Indie Cafe. They are doing the exact same thing that I am doing, horror movie a day for the month of October. They got some great movies out so far. I don't know what their day 4 is, but they've watched like an animator or something like that. And over on 13th Wolfman, they've been doing the Killer Crocodile 1 and 2. And so they have some good choices for their first few days. Uh, go over there, hit the bell, like, subscribe, show some support, because they've showed me some support. So I want you to go do the same for their videos as well, for their channel as well. So today's movie starts my first of 3 theme weeks for the month of October, and this week's theme is remakes, and the movie of the day is House of Wax, starring Eliza Cuthbert, Chad Michael Murray, Jared Padalecki. You'll recognize a bunch of others in this movie, and as well as Paris Hilton. I'll kind of get into that in a little bit, but what you need to know about this movie is that it's just kind of a bunch of friends who are going to this big football game, and they kind of decide to take a shortcut, and then they end up getting lost, so they decide to camp out in the middle of the nowhere for the night before heading out early to beat the traffic and stuff. And as they are partying and stuff, a local shows up, and they kind of make him mad a little bit by busting out his headlight, but he doesn't retaliate quite yet. So he just backs away, and then you don't quite know who's behind the wheel of the this big beat 'em up pickup truck. So, and it kind of spawns from there. Jared's character, Wade, his fan belt gets cut in the middle of the night, and so they are forced to kind of go into this town. And it's really, really, I think the production value for this movie is done really, really well, and it does have some really gory moments, and especially when they're kind of walking around this middle of nowhere impromptu campsite. The smell kind of wafts over them, and they can't figure out what it is until the morning, and they find out that it's just a pit of roadkill, and it's really just dirty and disgusting, and it's like you could almost smell it through the TV screen. And so and then doing so, they kind of split up into two groups. So two couple are going to, a few of them are going to the game. One has to stay behind to watch the car because he's not, I don't blame him. And so, and that's kind of where we get these two little plots kind of, and then eventually they kind of converge eventually. But just for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie. There's a few things that could have been better, definitely. Could have been excised from this film altogether and would have made this movie much, much better. But um, just, I really loved the special effects for this movie. I was watching this, and there towards the end of the movie, there's a big fire, and the House of Wax starts to melt, and I just loved it. I thought I love that. I just love that setting. I like how the floor's melting, the walls are caving in, just everything is just melting around him, and and the floor is really soft, and it just it really looks like they could um, be entombed in this thing, and I really, really like that aspect of it all. And one of the big highlights of the movie is Jared Padalecki's character Wade. He's getting turned into a wax figure. That was a really great. I think I wish we would have had another moment like that. I mean, not as like detailed as it was in the movie, but another like one maybe turned into a different kind of figure. But we kind of see like the process, but it ends up getting stopped midway. But um, anyways, that was a big moment. But the few things that I could have done without is probably what really makes this movie like kind of stand out is because Paris Hilton's in this movie. I think I mean, I wasn't annoyed by her character in this movie, but she definitely makes it known that she's in this movie, if that makes sense. Because if you watch all the other players or actors in this movie, you're not like thinking like who they are in real life. You're like, you're like engaged into what's going on screen, but when like she's on screen, Paris Hilton, you're like thinking, oh, that's Paris Hilton. Can't take her serious. Can't do anything like that. But to me, I didn't really think that she was all that bad in the movie. She doesn't have a lot of screen time, but I just think that when she's on screen, it takes away from the movie overall because you're too focused on knowing that is Paris Hilton. but and I think one of the other things is just that wished that we could have had a little bit more time spent in this town that has been created for this movie, and I really liked it. I wish they would have like visited a few more shops, and I wished the cue or the clues would have started to kind of build up. And the one thing that really bothered me about this movie more than Paris Hilton and stuff like that is that how quickly we figured out who the villain was, and it. I wish there was like a total twist in this movie because there's a point in the movie where it could have been really done really well, where the twist was like, oh, we were wrong this entire time because they go to this guy's house, who's like this mechanic's house. Like, oh, I got the belt that you need for your car, and it's like it's at the house. And the way it's all being presented is like, oh, this guy is obviously the killer. But I think it would have been fun if he was just some guy who's in the town, and the killers just kind of keep him alive or keep him around to kind of throw off the scent of others. So I think that would have been a lot cooler in that aspect. So, or a lot had a lot of potential to for other storylines in the film. But that's really all I'm going to say. Was it? I like I said, I was trying not to compare it to the original. I know the originals are two vastly different ones, and I say at least check it out at least once if you're not seen it because there is some genuine cool moments in this movie. There is like the big fight sequence at the end. Jared's Padalecki's wax figure transformation. Just the production design alone is probably worth a watch, especially when they're walking around this town. So, Chad Michael Murray, he's actually really good in this movie. His filmography, I'm not quite up to date in all his stuff, but he was actually pretty good in the movie. He plays like the brother of one of the main characters, and he's kind of like brooding and all that stuff. But towards the end of the movie, you actually kind of like him because he will defend his family and his friends when the time comes. Oh, that reminds me. There's another thing in this movie that I really didn't like was that the emotional payoff for one of the characters was wasted on another character. I mean, I understand that Eliza Cuthbert's character may have known this particular character for quite some time prior to the movie, but just her reacting to her boyfriend Wade, which is played by Jared Padalecki. I keep saying his name over and over again. His death in the movie was really downplayed a little bit, even though he may have had like one of the cool moments in the movie. But her emotional payoff with him dying was like is that wait, and then she gets dragged off into the next room, and then the last time we see his character, he's being he was kind of fixed onto a piano, his character, and then you just kind of see him kind of melting into the floor with flames around it, and so it's just kind of like, oh, I wanted to kind of have a bigger emotional payoff for that because she had a little bit more of a stronger emotional response to another person who's kind of being kind of creepy throughout the movie, videotaping people like Paris Hilton's character and just being kind of annoying. But I mean, not in so much of a bad way. It's just like that was just his character. But that's really about it. Like I said, at least watch it for at least once, because there is some actually decent things in this movie. Just needed some potential here and there, or some work here and there. So that is it. I do have a rating scale. One being run of the mill horror, 2 best watch with the group, 3 more than average horror but adds nothing new to the horror genre, 4 helps move the horror genre forward, and 5 being a horror classic. As for remakes goes, it's not that bad. I've seen worse, and I've obviously seen better. But I would. It's a 1. It's definitely run of the mill horror, but it does have some action. Like I mentioned, it does have some decent moments within the movie. You just have to kind of sit through some things that may annoy you. Like I mentioned, knowing that Paris Hilton's in the movie, you can't really fixate that she's playing a character. You're too fixated on her real identity. So, and that's really about it. And then you got some other choices like bad movie character choices and stuff like that. But overall, it's not that bad. So, once again, click subscribe. Hit the bell to stay notified for any future videos I will be making, especially this month. It's remake week. I'm going to be running all over. I'm going to be trying to hit in the decades. This came out in 2005, so hopefully, what I have planned comes out in the 80s. So that's for tomorrow. But anyways, and hit the bell, hit the like button. That shows me, that helps me in the long run, showing me some support and getting my videos more airtime. So, or more recognized, or trending, or whatever. So, but I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and thank you.